Hello, I'm Joe Sobeske, and my mashup idea is for visual internet path tracing. See, here's the thing. I teach beginning networking in my information technologies program, and even though we talk about data being sent over the internet all the time, it still seems kind of magical to me how, say for example, a normal person like myself could want to check the weather. So get on the World Wide Web in a little town in South Michigan called Coldwater, Michigan, and I might be requesting a website that resides on a server way over in San Diego, California. And when I request that information on my end, all I see is the information shows up almost instantly, and I know what my weather is. But realistically, though, what could be happening is, or what is happening is that information is being routed through perhaps Chicago, and then the request has to go down to maybe Atlanta, Georgia, and then over to Dallas, Texas, and it might have to head back up to Boise, Idaho, over to Seattle, Washington. Maybe it'd have to make a pit stop down in Reno, Nevada before it finally gets to San Diego and finds my website and my weather. And then it sends the website back to me probably in a whole different path. So this really is my idea, is to visually map the routes that paths take over the internet. I'm going to call it visual internet path tracing. It's mapping the packets either to various destinations, either using Google Earth, just like I showed, or perhaps even what would be cooler is if we could get it to fly to the various destinations that the routes take. The way Google does when you want to take a tour, so it might zoom in on something and fly up and zoom to another one. Maybe there'd be an option, but the bottom line is that we have a visual internet path tracing, and I think we can do it. Here's what we'd need. We'd need something called traceroute, and I'll explain that in a minute. We'd need a utility from domaintools.com or a similar website, and of course we need Google Earth. Here's how it would work. First, you'd have to use something like traceroute. Traceroute is a command prompt utility that really does exactly what I'm telling you, mapping packets across the internet, except it only returns IP addresses. Let me show you how it works. This, for instance, is the results of a traceroute that I ran for weather.com. If you'll notice that all I did is I typed traceroute www.weather.com, and what it returned to me is all the internet protocol or IP addresses. Those are all those numbers there for the routers that the packets had to pass through in order to get routed over to the destination where they needed to be. So we can get these internet addresses. The question would be, where in the heck are these routers? We have the addresses. How are we going to get the router locations, the physical locations? That's where Domain Tools comes in, or a similar service. I'm sure there's more than just Domain Tools. But what Domain Tools does is it will map physical locations to IP addresses. Let's use an example here. For example, the fifth hop that my packets took on my trace route for weather.com was through something with an IP address of 96.34.32.156. Knowing this information, all we have to do is hop over to Domain Tools and type it in the Who Is box, and Domain Tools will bring back some information, and sure enough, our IP address that we were looking for actually resides right here in the United States. And as a matter of fact, it gives an actual physical address in St. Louis, Missouri for this IP address. So we found that we can use traceroute in order to get IP addresses. We can use Domain Tools to find physical locations. We should be able to find a way to mash those pieces of information together with Google Earth to come up with something like, just like I showed you, a visual representation of all the paths that a request took to get to its final location. I think this would be really helpful to students. It would help them visually understand networking and visually understand the path that stuff takes, and why routing and network protocols have to be the way they are. And So I think this would be a fun tool that students would have, and I think it would be useful and really give us a better idea of how data moves around on the internet. And I can only imagine when we're looking for information way across the globe, how cool would it be to have Google fly from the United States over to Japan to wherever else that the paths might take it. So this would be a fun, cool networking tool that could be used really from junior high on up, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. So anyway, that's my mashup idea, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.